Why do we sit here being silent, watching our leaders turn into tyrants? Have they forgotten which side they're fighting for? Checks and balances set aside and rule the laws, youth and ours, and Constitution openly ignored. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Is it time for right and left to join a greater cause? Man, I'm not okay. The rich claim to be victimized just to attack the marginalized. Is 1% really worth more than all the sick and poor? Always preaching about fellowship while planning their dictatorship. Now we've seen how all of this plays out before. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call. Man, I'm not okay. Ever wonder all the mystery, why they whitewash our history, keep dividing is their plan? All in all, such a scam. Algorithm very sly, only used to spread the lies. Politicians know well, hate is simple to upsell. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call.
We are not okay. America is not okay, and we all know that. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, this is The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Let's figure out how to get okay together. Because this is a really important topic.
Yes.
Masculinity and the Republican Party. You are right, Cliff Schecter.
I just messing around. Go ahead.
What?
I made a muscle. I was just being a goofball. Go ahead. I want you to make a point. Your point.
Donald Trump, and I say this, Cliff, you know, I engage with hundreds of Trump supporters every day. And especially when I engage with his
Thank the Lord it's you and not me.
I know. You have more productive things to do. But when I engage with his male supporters, I just love to respectfully say Donald Trump is the antithesis of a man. He is the antithesis of a real man. And I don't need to go down it. Yeah, you're right. And Ted Cruz, masculine.
Oh my God, yeah. Josh Hawley, the thin running man from the, I mean.
All. You're right. But here's my big but.
Yeah.
Agree with all of that.
Okay.
It's like you and I believe Graham Plattner is a bad, horrible, dishonest fraud who should not be in the Senate. But I don't want to hear one fucking Republican criticize Democrats for voting for him after they've supported Trump all these years, talk about a bad, horrible, dishonest fraud, and they're going to vote for Ken Paxton down in Texas. So Republicans get lost. But Cliff, here's my point.
I've moved. We can talk. I'd rather talk about fun stuff. But my opinion of Plattner, since women don't excuse abusing women. To me, once you get violent, that's it. And I will never excuse that. So since like somebody getting a dumb tattoo 20 years ago, I don't care about. Somebody
this is why this is a really fun show. This is why this is a fun show, because you and I, it's like we're driving around on a road trip and you so easily get, like, I can point to a sign or look, Cliff, there's a moose.
You could hold up like some jewels. I'd be like, I'm just ADHD, man. I'm all over the damn place.
Cliff and I can be in a car talking about giraffes. And if I point out a moose on the highway to him, boom, right away is with mooses. Mooses, mice, moose. I don't know what plural of moose is.
Let's go.
Hey, Cliff, here's
mass.
The point, though.
It's mass.
I don't want to hear any Trump supporting Republican tell me what masculinity is.
Right.
But
yes,
their hits, their attacks on Tallarico in Texas are gonna have an impact politically, period.
Well, let me say why they're going to have an impact and why you're right. I think you maybe thought I was going to disagree with you, but
I
I'm
did.
not going to.
But you are a political strategist.
That's correct. And so I will take off my hat of arguing for whatever's moral and whatever my ethics and what I believe, which I am fully honest about both of those things. Politically, the problem has been that Democrats have been, when it comes to arguing, fighting back, and that stuff have been weak and have allowed the Republicans to define us and to define what masculinity is. And if you let them define the terms of the debate, if they're allowed to say, here's what masculinity is, then they're also allowed to say, you're not that. And that's, I mean, we've allowed that forever, even though, I'd like to see one of them. I bet right now, and after her what happened to her, the accident, Tammy Duckworth could kick the shit out of all of them, with how tough she is. But like, it doesn't matter what the truth is, as we know. It matters what people believe.
And Cliff, this is Texas. And,
that is true.
And again, just to be real, this and independents and Democrats and folks all around the country may laugh at the way Republicans right now, and they're spending a lot of money right now, painting Tallarico as light in his loafers, as a transgender
their whole thing is to turn him into someone who's gay or this or that. That's their strategy.
And Cliff and I may find that despicable. Cliff and I may find that utterly idiotic and wrong. The only point I'm making is it will work in Texas. And part of the problem
with some people, whether under these circumstances it will work with enough is the question. And I will give Tallarico credit. He hits back and he hits back hard. He has to make up for the years of our collective failure at sort of
true. But it's not just on Democrats' years of collective failure. A lot of this is on him. Let's just be real, crass and political. He don't look like a tough guy.
No, that's fair.
He don't.
Looks a little bit like Charlie Brown.
He don't talk like a tough guy. He doesn't look like one. He looks like Howdy Doody. He looks like again. This is politics.
No, I get it. Look, when you and I were at that event, the State of the Swamp.
Yeah.
First time I got to meet John Tester in person.
Yeah.
That guy would walk up and you'd be like, dude's missing 3 fingers, and he shows it to you from a meat combine. And he was like,
that's a fucking Democrat who could win in Texas.
I was going to say, and he was, and I was sort of like, and what happened to that? He's like, it was really good at cutting meat. We still have it.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's, to me, I wrote a piece arguing that we need more Democrats that represent the areas they're in. Here in Ohio, Sherrod Brown is a raspy voiced like guy that can put on a jeans tuxedo and go in with a bunch of truckers and fit in. Last poll shows him up 8 points on that on Husted. I hope that's correct, but it does fit with some of the other stuff we've seen. So I know what you're saying about Tallarico. Yes,
and Cliff,
come off as like this sort of
yeah. No, that's why. Look. If you're exactly right, Cliff. If John Tester, hell, if Joe Walsh, if any Democrat run for the Senate down there, who's comes across as a fucking guy, and boom, 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 this shit wouldn't work. But Tallarico, God bless him, he doesn't come across that way.
No, I understand.
Other thing is,
and we're living in the world, as you said, as it is. It's not the world as I would want it, but this is the
other factor. The other factor about Tallarico is, let's be real. He's a decent guy. He is a progressive, and there's a history of him and the woke stuff and the gender stuff and the vegan stuff, and and this is all.
Is there a history of him with the vegan stuff? I didn't know if that was.
He had a vegan campaign. A meatless
by the way, I don't have a problem with people who are vegan. I'm not insulting it. I don't give a shit. Eat what you want.
We're talking about Texas.
As long as it's not other humans, eat whatever you want. But and fried dog like RFK Jr. Don't eat that either. That's bad. But
I'm just saying politically in Texas, these attacks are going to work.
Yes, I still think he's a good enough. I think there's 2 things, and this is my real. I'm not shilling for him. I have nothing to do with his campaign, but I would tell you, here's 2 things I do believe that will help him. One is just the year that it is. Actually, let me say 3 things. One, the year that it is going to add 5 to 10 points to any Republican, any Democrat.
Stop that thought, because I want to hear your other thoughts. I just want to tell our audience. I just want to tell our audience before Cliff gets the other thought. In a normal political year, in the state of Texas,
Tallarico doesn't
James Tallarico would get demolished. Go ahead.
He would lose. I would almost be certain that he would lose.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. But here's your 3 things why this year, I think, and it's not all this year. He does have one thing he's very talented at. Let's get to that too, which is speaking about religion and making it fit into a progressive message. And he can make other people look really stupid on religious, on some of the text of when it comes to talking about the New Testament and some of that. I get where I guess I get where you're coming from, Joe. Yeah. I do think there's a certain segment of Christians who really do believe in the New Testament, who really are tired of Trumpism, and he could win over that. And polling has shown that he can win over some of those folks. That's 2. 3 is just 2 words: Ken Paxton. I mean, talk about, first of all, not the embodiment of masculinity, that chubby. I'm being a looksist to everybody. I don't care. I'm going to be. He and Trump and Ted Cruz together are a fucking Mack truck. Okay. So this fucking ugly, chubby, sexually harassing, already indicted for fraud. I mean, Ken Paxton, rivals Trump almost in terms of a lifetime of crime. That is going to help a lot too. So all 3 of these reasons are why I do think I've gotten past where I put my faith in Texas anymore. God bless you all. I love you in Texas. It's just a matter of the fact that too many times I've been like, Beto's gonna, you know what I mean? Like but I do believe, based on science and looking at numbers and looking at how far the Republican Party has fallen in the country overall and how bad Ken Paxton is, and if Tallarico can keep at least speaking about religion the way he is, I would also, again, and I'm sorry, people, I'm talking about as a political consultant right now, I would do some things to try to showcase some toughness if I were them with him.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, certainly he doesn't need to be wearing the collared shirts anymore and the
But the tough thing, Cliff, is you and I preach this all the time. Authenticity, man. You got to be who you are.
You're right. If he, unless it has to be him doing stuff he's comfortable with.
But
most people aren't good actors.
Yeah, what Cliff is saying, everybody, is true. It has to be a perfect storm election for Tallarico to have a shot, and that means a horrible year for Republicans. Check. A horrible Republican candidate. Check. All that's
and Tallarico with at least one talent that goes way beyond when talking about religion in a way that Democrats normally can't.
Agreed, but he'll be attacked on how woke and progressive his Christianity is.
I'm sure.
Again, we're talking about Texas. We're just talking about Texas.
I know, but I guess what I'm saying is with the other factors, if he can convince a sliver of extra folks with that, that helps. That can do it.
That's it. Completely.
So yeah, I mean, I just, again, when I see this bullshit from Hegseth, when I see it from RFK Jr., again, I'm like, have you looked at the guy you're working for? Because again, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't care, maybe the Secret Service will come busting through the door, but I'll tell you, I don't want anything to happen to Donald Trump. Actually, there is something. This is my prescription for how Donald Trump should spend the rest of his life.
I want him in jail.
I want him sitting in The Hague. I want him sitting in a prison cell, and I want just out of his reach a TV set on a loop with all of Obama's accomplishments, just so he could freak at that, and then a fried chicken wing just out of his reach too. To me, that would be a Sisyphus type situation. He would be tortured. I want him to live 100 years behind bars, deprived of anything he likes.
He belongs. Go ahead.
If I'm being objective and looking at the fact that a good friend of ours and a contributor to our, who's a brilliant surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, whatever, Dr. Eric Lulov has pointed this out numerous times. He was wearing a glove the other day because he wanted to show the gashes in his hands. The man has gotten, the cankles have grown, the water weight. I'm sorry, I hate even bringing this up because I watched my dad go through heart disease. But these are things that are signs. I'm pretty convinced at this point, some combination of dementia and heart disease, and he wouldn't be here anymore if he weren't president, getting the best treatment where he can disappear for 8 days. And even some people in his own administration, I found out, thought he was dead because they didn't see him. He wasn't letting anybody see him.
Well, so the what's so fundamentally wrong is they're utterly not transparent in his health.
No.
And you've got to be transparent. Cliff, you're right about
this is the president. I mean,
exactly.
There are people in the national security part of the establishment, again, from somebody I spoke to, who is like you, is somebody who is not, I'm not friends with anybody in the Trump administration. That would be impossible for me, but a never Trumper who still speaks to some of those folks. And from what I heard, there were some people not on the most inside circle, let's call it the secondary circle, who thought he was dead because they had not been allowed to see him. They knew nothing of him for all that time. That's a crime against us because we're supposed to know, especially for national security. I like this guy. Jesus saves and heals. Where'd he go? Jesus saves and heals. Amen. Cliff is a dummy. Just so you know, saves,
saves and heals.
Do you think that's the kind of stuff? Have you read the New Testament? Because I have. Do you think that's what Jesus said while he's washing the feet of lepers? Do you think that's what he said when he was helping the poor? I'm just wondering if your version of Jesus looks like Rambo and believes in supply side economics, you may have read the wrong book. Just, thought I might tell you that.
And Cliff, it's not just Trump. You're right. Trump is the antithesis of a real man, but they're all that way. Hegseth, a cheater, an adulterer, just a dumb. They're all the antithesis
of Fox News
what a real
producer
man should
while
be.
He was married, who was producing his show. He had a baby. But who does that?
Right. So like around the country, most Americans would know that Trump and Hegseth are not real men. But we're talking about Texas, and so again,
we can have our conversation, and then we can also say, if it were Hegseth, I actually might be more worried. Thankfully, it's Pete.
Yes.
I think it's Ken Paxton who, when Tallarico stands next to him, Paxton's not going to look like much of a man in their traditional sense either. They'll have an advantage because they're Republicans, and all the Facebook ads that nobody ever knows where they came from, and all the stuff. We know what they'll do.
It may be the most negative race we've ever seen ever.
It might be. I think they're going to be worried about Vindman in Florida. There are polls showing him up. Another place where the Latino population and independents have turned so against them that they could see themselves losing their grip. So I think you're going to see a very anti-Semitic campaign run against women.
Yeah, no, we don't know how broad this map could be. Exactly right. Florida could be in play.
Right. And in Ohio here, I promise you, they're going to bring out everything against Sherrod Brown. So, I mean,
Iowa is very much in play.
Apparently we're tied in that race. You're going to see it there too. So that's I had to do that just because of the
good start.
The topic.
No, it's a good topic.
There you go. So I'm going to do a rant at the end about how Trump is the cause of the Knicks losing the only game they've lost because he brought his stink and the fact that he's just a loser who bankrupts places and everything else he did, and how he pissed everybody off and killed the energy because nobody could get into the damn place. And I'll have fun with that. But I thought, Joe, I would build into our show because.
But by the way, before you go somewhere, you just did the Knicks thing, and I'm glad. I want to listen to your close after I leave. I retweeted a brilliant tweet.
From me, of course,
right here. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
No, this one was not from you. You have a bunch of brilliant tweets.
No, that's not true.
I just Daniel Dresner on Blue Sky.
Listen to this. Yeah.
Listen to this tweet, Cliff. Look, this is referring to last night's Knicks comeback. Look, I'm sorry, but I just can't believe the Knicks came all the way back. And I bet a lot of my fellow basketball fans feel similarly. This calls into question the legitimacy of their Game 4 win. I can't believe all those late baskets came in, and brilliant.
He was doing satire, I assume,
on California.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
that's all I wanted to know. Right. The late ones, the late baskets don't count. Only the first.
All those late baskets, but they were getting killed at the Cliff at the half. The Knicks were getting killed, and then they came back. All those late baskets.
I don't get it.
Them.
It's almost like there's two halves. Almost like people vote at different times, and you count the other votes. Almost like a very conservative state, Utah, has been doing mail-in voting forever.
Mike Lee, my former friend, Mike Lee. Did you hear him? Exactly.
Honestly, I mean, again, no disrespect to you, but I fucking hate that guy. And I may hate him more than, when he made that joke after what's her name? Melissa Hortman was killed in Minnesota. And
remind me what it was. I'm forgetting it.
He showed a picture of her and dressed up and said nightmare on whatever street she lived on. He thought it was funny. What the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly. Since then, like, you want to know somebody who I do secretly wish bad things would happen to, but I won't say out loud? I mean, that motherfucker. I mean, I'm sorry. That is inhuman. Somebody had just lost their mom and their dad had been shot and was maybe about to die. And within 8 hours, he thought that was funny. What is wrong with that guy?
Again, this is why this is an interesting show, because you and I come from such different places. Back in the day, Mike Lee and I were bosom buddies. Cliff, of everybody that I served in Congress with, and he got elected the same time I did. He got elected this
2010, yeah.
He and I became really good friends. And of every Republican in the Senate, I know this sounds horrible now, I had more respect for him than anyone.
That's fine. He may have been a different person who
was Mr. Constitution.
But he has lost the plot.
of all of my former colleagues, Cliff, who sold their souls, I still can't explain why he did. All of a sudden he became this based MAGA creature. I don't know why. I still can't tell you why.
I'm going to ask you objectively, honestly, and you don't have to tell me if you know some inside thing or whatever, but do you think they may have had something on him? Do you think because I ask that question all the time. Now, the Russians, we have to always remember, also hacked the RNC servers, but never released any of it. And so my question is he that guy on the surface, but maybe he was doing some things that weren't so Mormon-like behind the scenes? I'm just asking. I don't know.
No. Hey, Cliff, it's a fair question, because you and I could go down the list of every single one of my former colleagues, and I could tell you exactly why they sold the soul. You're and my buddy, Jim Jordan. We were bosom buddies. Jim Jordan came to me and told me why he sold his soul.
Can you share that?
Oh, God, yeah. We had a conversation. Jim Jordan, a lot of people probably forgot, didn't support Trump out of the gate in 2016. He was a Ted Cruz guy. He and I talked about it. Trump's a fraud. Trump ain't a conservative, blah, blah, blah. Once Trump got the nomination, Jim Jordan got on board, and he and I talked. It's one of the last conversations we ever had. And he said, Joe, I know Trump's a bad, bad guy. Jordan said this, but Democrats are evil. They're socialists. They're communist. They got to be stopped. So if I have to have a bad guy coaching my team, we have to stop them. Like, I know why Jordan did it.
But you understand, right? Like, you're too smart for that. You know that's so stupid.
No, totally. But again,
there are a few that are semi-socialist among Democrats, and I would even say more social Democrat than anything else. There are no communists.
But Jim,
communism is an actual thing. They don't seem to get it. They just think it's a slur. There's an actual theory.
Jim Jordan, a Division I college wrestler, is all about, Jim Jordan's mind only thinks this way: my team wins or the bad guys win. Yeah, and so that's why he got on board. I could go through the list of all of them.
Yeah.
But
it's lizard brain. They hacked into the part of us that gets so riled up rooting for sports or other competitions. They smartly, they made politics about that. So people would say, I'm on my team and that's my team and I don't care. They made politics so much more tribalistic. So you ended up getting stuff like that. But to me, it's one thing to say, I don't like taxes, and so I'm going to go with Trump. And I would still say, okay, I think that's a stupid reason to go for a guy who clearly, he wasn't a convict then, or any stuff. He already had settled for the $25 million he ripped off from Trump University. He'd already been banned from having a foundation in New York, from ripping off a cancer charity, for fuck's sake. I mean, he'd already shown who he was. Okay, but at least if you're like, I don't like taxes or something. But when you say, well, I don't like the communists, well, you're just being an idiot. Okay.
Right. Exactly right, Cliff. And look, after I left Congress, I got into conservative talk radio. I was syndicated. I was going to be the next Rush Limbaugh. And I've had and I walked away from all of that. I've had some of my right-wing media colleagues tell me point blank, Joe, I'm supporting them because I don't want to fucking lose my show. I mean, so I get it. There are a lot of reasons, but I can't explain Mike Lee to this day.
Right, because he did. I remember, I pay close enough attention to this stuff. He ran as a conservative, yes, but a conservative,
constitutionalist,
a constitutionalist, a libertarian. Yes. With a few exceptions, because he was Mormon. Yes. He was against abortion and some things that aren't as libertarian, but mostly he was libertarian. And I would disagree with him on a bunch of stuff, but at least that's a coherent ideology. Trumpism is, you're a libertarian. It's a coherent ideology. I can disagree with you, but at least I know what's motivating your beliefs. Trumpism is just a mishmash of whoever the fuck you're angry at that day, and I mean, there's nothing coherent about it.
And Cliff, the other weird thing is and I knew Ted Cruz well, Mike Lee was a good guy. You knew right away Ted Cruz wasn't. I knew right away.
Everybody hated that guy from the beginning.
But Mike Lee was a good, enough on Mike Lee. That's why I wonder, I mean,
to get so, and I have, to be clear, have never ever even come close to doing anything like that. My one rule is I will not turn someone into a saint who I thought was horrible. I want to do the whole, I'm sorry for their loss. Like, I didn't do that when Rush Limbaugh died. I think he made this country a worse place. I didn't insult him, I don't believe, but I didn't do that. I won't do that fake kind of crap. But at the same time, I won't make jokes on Twitter, like almost taunting his family that they just lost their dad or husband or whatever. I mean, who does that? And that's the thing. The guy you talk about is hard to square with this guy.
Completely.
And it really makes me wonder who got a hold of him.
Well, and Cliff, and that's a good point. But it also, I'm going to take a shot at myself. Because I've had other people say, what the fuck, Joe? It makes me look like an idiot. Like, why did I not see this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years ago with a lot of these guys? And
you know what, dude?
I'll admit I was fooled by Mike Lee. I really was.
And I was fooled by certain people now that I would call more corporate Democrats who were weak in undermining the party. I was more part of that kind of establishment of the party. And I would stand up right away and say who I don't think was part of that. I still think, example being, I enjoyed writing ads for Biden. I think Biden was a consequential president when it came to the legislation he passed in an enormous way for one term. I think the foreign policy stability he brought back. I think where he messed up is he did not want to accept, or he wasn't able to accept what he was dealing with on the other side.
Where he messed up, Cliff, is he's got a huge fucking ego and he put himself before his country. Period.
Well, that
period.
Too. And I'm talking about while he was.
While he was president. Yeah.
I was thinking more policy-wise. He should have done more to rein in some of the out of control forces of the right.
And a 20-year ago, Joe Biden would have.
Yes. But
and by the way, on Joe Biden,
what?
Well, I'm talking about Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is a selfish man. Again, apologies
for that moment. No, at that moment, I would agree.
Or at this moment, he's coming out with his book in October, month before the midterms. Why are you doing that?
Oh, I knew her book came out. I didn't know his
book is out a month before the midterms.
Okay, that's
come on.
We don't need that distraction.
We don't need that.
No, and you don't need the money in the end. No, that stuff just. That drives me insane. That drives me insane.
Okay.
I would say, I don't know where I was going to go back to, but who cares? Let's, you know what? Drink.
Yeah. Cha.
Folks, you haven't had a good 1800? Get yourself one right away. Gold. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. Because we had some other issues. First, you may have already done it. But I came up with a new segment. I bet you didn't read it. I sent it to you. And it was called
Busted.
I love you. It's all good. And what it was called was what's pissing off Joe? Or what's where I would just let you, because you come in here and you've got a bee in your bonnet.
I'm usually in a bad mood.
And I do mine at the end. I get my rant out at the end. So I thought if you had something that you just wanted to go off on in the beginning, that this is your time, bro.
That's really a cool idea, Cliff.
See, I'm not all bad. I did kill Crichton. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
Well, again, we'll have our historical conversation down the road because I got some issues with what happened back then, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, are you blaming me?
Your kin.
Oh my God.
Your kin. Don't you start with me, Cliff.
Listen, I have an alibi. I was at least 10 miles away at the time. They had this great old saloon in a barn. It was fucking fantastic.
I'll tell you the bee that's been under my, what's the expression? Bee in my bonnet.
Bee in your bonnet. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, this week, I have a good friend who is not a Trumper. He's a good country club Republican. He voted for Trump the first time like I did. He did vote for Biden. He couldn't vote for Harris, but I think he voted whatever. But he asked me this because he's still a good Republican, even though he despises Trump. He said, Joe, you spend too much of your time going after your former colleagues. And like here I am right now going after Mike Lee and Jim Jordan, and you're going after your former radio colleagues and your Fox News colleagues. I get it, Joe, but you spend too much of your time going after these guys who, and he quoted me, who you always say sold their soul. And I thought about it after that conversation, and I should have said this to him, but the reason I fucking go off on this, the reason I fucking get so mad about my former colleagues is because it's personal to me, because I took a blowtorch to my career.
Right.
I threw away everything.
You could have been that very easily. And
maybe, Cliff, maybe I let it get too personal to me. These guys sold their soul and they still got their office. They still got their TV show. They still got all of this. But maybe I go too far because it is personal to me. I lost everything.
Can I say this to you? I mean, and I think you know this, and I'm not going to claim I gave up as much as you did there, but still worth pointing out. You do know that there are some among us, let's just say, some among us who are among, let's call it the center over to leftist sphere of stuff, who collect money from the DNC or from the DSCC, and I could go for that money too. And I could, and yet you will hear me saying, get rid of Chuck Schumer, get rid of Jeffries. I won't do it either. I would be wealthier if I were willing to say, God damn, that Chuck Schumer, he messages like a motherfucker. He's amazing. That guy has the virility, of a cowboy. He should go down to Texas and run. With the name Schumer, go ride a mechanical bull. He'll fucking crush it. I do not say that. I am honest about what, and people can disagree with some of my interpretations here and there, but you heard me go off on your old colleague. It would be easier for me to say nice things about Jared Polis, and I ripped the living shit out of him, even though he's worth like $300 million. I probably could go to him and be like, hey, can you give some of that to our Substack to help us? No, I don't give a shit, because he released Tina fucking Peters, who's one of the only successful people that we had imprisoned.
Who went on Steve Bannon's show the day she was released.
There you go. And a Democrat did that. So no, I'm not claiming as much as what you did, because you had this whole show and whatever, but I certainly have gone after the establishment figures I think who suck. And I've argued against far left folks who I think have betrayed us and have gone around the fucking, the horseshoe to the other side.
The really good point you're making is this. The vast majority of people in our profession, politics, political media, will not do what we did.
No,
you got to keep the money, keep the relevancy, keep the TV gig, keep the elected office. Look, we had that whole thing with Scott Jennings a few months back. I lit out after Scott Jennings. Julie Rosinski, our pal, did.
Oh, yeah.
There ain't no way on God's green earth Julie and Joe Walsh will ever get back invited on that show. Most people wouldn't do that because they want to be on that show. That's just a fact. So I have all the respect in the world for people who live out their principles.
And I do the same thing. Look, there was a period in time where I was on, what was then MSNBC a ton, and was on CNN a decent amount. Hell, I went on Fox just to yell at right wingers because it was fun. None of them, I mean, rarely. I'll hear here and there from them at this point. I don't care. I don't consider that a sacrifice. And as far as I'm concerned, if that is the sacrifice for me being able to tell the truth about corporate media sucking and about some of the people like Scott Jennings being a little fucking dockside wearing, talk about lack of masculinity, that little fucking wimp who was just basically Mitch McConnell's indentured servant for years and did whatever the hell. And I think on some level still is, but somehow hides in the media. No, I won't hold back on that stuff either. I can't.
He miraculously transformed himself from country club establishment Mitch McConnell's hack to MAGA tough guy.
You know the giveaway, right? You know the tell with him and with Mitch is that the day of, I've said this before, the day of January 6th, everybody should go back and read his piece on how Trump was responsible. It was an attack on our country. It was despicable. It was horrible. Trump should be thrown out of office, all this kind of stuff. Because you know why? Because at that one moment, Mitch sent his flying monkeys out to get his back in the media because he was planning on voting to convict. And whatever happened between that and however many hours after that, 48 hours, where he wimped out, he could have brought 10 votes along easily. He's gotten so many of those folks elected with corporate money. He could have made sure Trump was never an issue again by convicting him, and he did not. And so
my final word on this topic, this Joe's
No, you're not allowed to. It's 6:40. You're not.
No, I'm not leaving. Just on this Joe's rant topic.
Okay.
Is Scott Jennings is making a shitload of money because of what he did. I
hope he enjoys looking in that mirror.
I can go to sleep every night.
That's right.
Do my best to hold my head high, and Cliff Schecter can too, and Julie Ruginski and so many others. So
I can look in the mirror and know that I've done what I believe in, and I will not shill for people that want to destroy my country. So I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Shilling. And maybe you have one of these, Cliff.
But
you know, in my radio days, in my Fox News days, man, I was a huge My Pillow advertiser. Oh man, I used to push so many My Pillows. Oh no, look at me. Cliff.
I heard they were rocky and really shitty, and I never used one, so I can't say, is that true or were they actually
There's
good?
an NDA. I cannot say a word about My Pillow. I never liked the pillow, Cliff. I sold a lot of pillows. So there have been a couple of things I've shielded.
Did you sell any to Trump so he can sleep easier at all these public events?
No. Isn't he running for governor of Minneapolis?
Yes.
I mean, Minneapolis.
Not in a serious way, but he is. Let me throw this at you. Because I know you are a big rule of law guy.
Completely.
Right? And there's what do they call them now? The Bridgeview 5 or 6. There were the folks that protested ICE. I think it was Chicago.
Yeah.
They arrested them because they were exercising free speech, which you don't want to ever do in this country. And a grand juror was dismissed because he literally stood up and said, this entire case is a crock of shit. Can somebody please, I mean, I guess maybe he doesn't want people name because of the MAGA stuff, because I'd like to send him like a bunch of champagne and tell him, good for you. Good for you for doing the right thing.
Amen.
Yes, that is a great story.
Amen. And I think it's going to get dropped. I'm part of a member of Congress, former member of Congress plea because Congresswoman, I'm going to get it, McIver's, the African-American Congresswoman, wonderful, wonderful Congresswoman. She was
a Democrat because there aren't any of those in the Republican Party.
Democrat. So. She was arrested as well as part of that group.
Oh, right. Who was it again? Fuck.
Is it not from Ohio?
I thought she was from Illinois because that's where it happened.
No. There was the, what's her name? The influencer, she ran for Congress. She was part of it.
I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to try.
But yeah, I was part of a brief just saying how outrageous and wrong this is. I think the whole case is going to get dropped.
Oh, I mean, I don't think you very often, there was the old line about a ham sandwich. I don't think you very often have a grand juror stand up and literally say, this is a crock of shit, such that they have to kick him out.
By the way, important point, like we all have a platform. We all can speak out, and God bless anybody in any platform they've got. I mean, that grand juror spoke out, took courage. Good for
Again, like courage is contagious. And I can't stress to people strongly enough that you may think your voice is isolated. You may think this or that. You may, reach, well, you're like, oh, I only reach, 100 people or 50 people or 1,000 people or whatever it is you think is a limit. I am telling you that those things have gone viral before because if you say the right thing at the right time, you can make an enormous difference. Everybody needs to know that. Nobody is there's nobody who isn't an influencer anymore. Do you have a personal Facebook page? Do you have at least a couple hundred people on there? You're an influencer, because they'll tell friends, and it's like that old commercial. They tell 3 friends and they tell 3 friends. I mean, people will share it. If what you write is good, they will share it. Everybody has, and I would argue again, I get it. People don't want to fight with family and that kind of thing. But I would say, if there ever is a moment that you kind of have a responsibility, it is right now. If you want this country to come out as a democracy on the other side.
Amen. Amen. Again, and I say, you're right. I say the same thing, Cliff, very respectfully. The book club you belong to, the soccer club, the soccer
team, Rotary Club, the bowling
all
league,
of them. This is the time for all of us, respectfully, to inject politics into our friends, neighbors, and communities. Respectfully, but this is
actually better respectfully, because you don't win people over.
No.
There's a reason for nonviolence among Martin Luther King. Like, if you go in and you scream at them and tell them they suck, probably not going to join you. Go in. You know what the best thing you can do when you go into these places is you go in and you tell people who care about you, if they don't care, even if they haven't been able to sort of extend that to whole groups or whatever, you tell them about how what they're doing is harming you and your family. I promise you, that will get them to listen more than anything else.
Your job is all of our jobs. That's what Cliff does every day. That's what I do. We all do it. Our job is to inform people we know about what that guy and my former party are doing. Just respectfully, at once a week, twice a week, put something in front of them. Look what happened this week. That's our job.
That's it, right? Let me see if we've got any other cool stuff here, Joe. You're not leaving yet because I'm not letting you. Well, you have 5 more minutes, 6 more minutes, something like that.
No, technically 4. My clock's saying 46 after the hour.
I don't accept your Irish clock, so I don't.
Lawrence told me I could leave on time.
Jews make the best clocks, you know that. Oh wait, maybe that's Swiss. Okay, so where are we here, Lawrence?
What else was on your mind this week, Mister?
Well, it's so hard to when we get in these threads here, and
I know, and we go all over the map.
And I can't find, well, okay. So we talked about that. We talked about it. What are your thoughts? Because I think this is obviously something we're going to be talking about a lot about. What are your thoughts on the upcoming World Cup in terms of how we as Americans should behave? I'm not saying like trash stuff, but there are ways to get world attention creatively and smartly when you have all the cameras of the world on you. What do you think?
Knowing that hotel reservations are down, businesses are going to get hammered because nobody wants to come here. Thank you, Donald Trump. I just think, Cliff, it's simple. I think we need to, as much as we can, celebrate the World Cup. I think we also should peacefully protest, especially against ICE, because I have humongous concern that Homan is going to use ICE near the end of the World Cup in New York City to try to incite major violence.
You think he'll do it now? The rumors have been because Trump's so angry because he got booed at the next game.
Maybe no. It's always been a key part of Trump's plan to fuck with the midterms, is to invoke the insurrection, declare martial law, and he's the one who's trying to incite violence. That's always been a big part of his plan.
No, that has been. All right, I know what it is. I know what I want to get you to speak on.
Quickly, you've got 2 minutes.
You should be able to rant on this for 2 minutes because I know you care about this topic. You just talked about it, which is Republicans, after Trump said again, we will attack Iran, quote, very hard tonight. I don't think anything's been very hard on Donald Trump except for maybe his arteries in a while, but I digress. But here's the pathetic nature of their bowing to Trump on Iran. Example, I certainly think it's time for us to stand behind the president, said Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas to the HuffPost. I think it's time to stand with our military, and really, we can't allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. Here we go again with the bullshit and the thoughts on Mr. Marshall and others who would just hand over their congressional duty, their responsibility to Donald Trump and say, whatever he wants.
They're going down. They're going down with the Titanic. This war has just devastated this country economically, and Republicans will not abandon him on the war. They'll pressure him privately on Bill Pulte, and that worked. They pressured him privately on the slush fund.
And that worked, right?
That probably worked. But on the war, they're going to line up. Republicans are going to line up and salute, and they're going to go down with him because of this war. He can't get out of it, Cliff. He fucked up getting into it. It's an illegal war. He wants to get out. All he's done is strengthen Iran, and now Iran is just playing with him and tooling him around.
How badly do you, because you brought up Talarico or whatever, Kansas was showing a race where the Republican was only up by 4 points. How far do you think this could go?
Politically?
Yes.
I think a state like Kansas will be close, but Democrats will not win. I think Texas
That's where I tend to be.
I think it will. Yeah, this is an unheard of year. So Texas will be close. Florida could be close. But if Democrats, I think they blew it in Maine. If Democrats don't blow it in Michigan, Democrats should run the table with all of these, what we call battleground Senate races.
Well, and I'll say quickly, whatever your thoughts are, and I don't want to, we've had our conversations, and I'd love to have them again in the future on Plattner.
We have to.
I've changed a bit in my thinking since some of the.
I want to hear that.
I would still tell you objectively, looking at Susan Collins being the most unpopular member of the U.S. Senate right now. I mean, I'm talking she's in the 20s in Maine, and so hated for Brett Kavanaugh and all that stuff. And Plattner has tons of money, and whether you like him or not, he's charismatic. I think he wins.
I tell you, I'll leave you with this, big boy. And then
I think he wins, whether you like him or not.
I'll leave you with this. A Republican strategist who I still speak to and I really, really, really trust said, Joe, we are holding back fucking reams of shit on him that we will not even begin to get into until after that date. It's either June 5th. No, it must be July 15th is the date he would have to get off of the ballot. And they
can I say this as a quick
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
And they can replace him by July 15th. After July 15th.
And if they do, that's fine. I'll support whoever. But what I'm going to say about him is he has that thing, and you probably do dislike it because Trump has it too, where the grab him by the whatever video can come out, the whatever.
We'll see.
I think Plattner seems to just have this magic where people stick with him. We'll see.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, follow, and share The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple, Spotify. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to The Social Contract on Substack. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.